before we get out of here, obviously, if you guys have any more questions, definitely want you to ask. But could you give us a potential outcome that is like, what is your hopeful outcome for this scenario with the tariff plan and the debt yield and American manufacturing in the future? It can be optimistic. It can be based on whatever you feel. And then how does China's economy play into that now? There was a lot of talk about China's economy faltering, not only because of the age of the citizens, but also because of, I wrote some notes on this, but that they were in some sort of like economic disarray.
Well, China has, first of all, the Chinese are incredibly smart. They're incredibly well organized. They're incredibly prepared, and they're incredibly top down. The problem that China has, though, is after the last few years, the amount of foreigners investing money into China has fallen off a cliff. So in global economics, there's this thing called FDI, which is foreign direct investment. We have it, China has it, Europe has it. It's when somebody that's outside of the border comes in with cash and says, I'm going to invest it here. Boom. So GM is like, I'm going to build a plant in Shenzhen, China. That's FDI.
Yeah.
And for a whole host of reasons, I'm not smart enough to know them all. It fell off a cliff in these last few years. Mm-hmm. So I think when some people think about what problems China has, the long term, it's demographic. The one China policy, the one child policy was very problematic. The birth rate is very constrained. So that's really problematic for them. But in the short term, the real problem is around FDI. There's just not enough cash from foreigners who feel like the market is stable and predictable and offer a great return. So they're not putting the money into China. So back to the United States. I think that everybody wants to get a deal done. And I think it's an opportunity for Trump to rewrite these global rules and just say, guys, here's the new association, it'll probably be called like, the Mar-a-Lago Accords. I bet dollars to donuts.
That's great.
Yeah, it's 100%.
I heard that mentioned, and that was going to be my next question. What is 100%. Mar-a-Lago Accords? Because
I suspect what I've been saying is like, that's the new framing document for how the world should work. And by the way, don't you want somebody who just like basically does that on behalf of America? Like, why? What is the downside of that? You know what the status quo is. If you're happy with the status quo, I get it. You can debate it. But if the status quo isn't working for you, maybe there's like, it's time to try something different and let it play out. So my thought is, and by the way, like the status quo, I benefited from. But I just don't think it's right. I don't think this dog hunts anymore. And I think you got to get America into a better place. So you wait it out 4-6 weeks and you start to do deals one by one, or you get them all in a room and say, guys, here's the term sheet. Here's my vision for the world. You pay your share, I pay my share. You guys get access to America. We have 330 million incredible Americans ready to buy everything that you make. You'll be prosperous, we'll be prosperous. But here are the terms. I just think we should hope that works. Let that play out. And if that plays out, your taxes get cut to zero. That sounds pretty good. Interest rate payments.
I was going to ask, is it possible Trump doesn't immediately start making deals? Does he just keep the tariffs on for longer windows of time?
I think it makes a lot of sense for him to wait. Now, that's just me talking.
Why?
But that is straight up game theory. I think it's like in game theory, there's this concept called regret minimization. It's just like what it means, like when you're going into a high stakes negotiation, right? Like, how do you create the right psychological parameters in your opponent, right? And I think that waiting just gives him enormous leverage. I just think it's like a bank account that compounds every day. Is it complicated for America? Yes. Is it complicated for the stock market? Yes. Is it more complicated for everybody else? Double yes. And so, again, you can't wait a year, but if you wait 2, 3, 4 weeks, I mean, look, I'll tell one story. So, a friend of mine called me representing the president of a country. And he's like, I need your help. I need some advice. I need to know what to do. And I was like, well, what are your tariffs for American products? And it was a non-trivially large number. And I said, bro, you got to cut that shit to zero. You should just proactively just cut it to zero. Don't ask, just do it. And then it turned out that they were going to buy an enormous number of planes from Airbus. I was like, well, on the margins, you should just buy them from Boeing. That's an American company. You know, it's like 2% of all of our exports. And then he's like, well, and we also, you know, buy a lot of energy. And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe there's a concession to, you know, an American energy company to help you deliver that. And I got off the phone and I looked at my wife and I was like, that was surreal. But I was like, if there are 30 of those deals out of 80 to be done, I'm telling you guys, it's a winning strategy.
That's really interesting. My assumption is that all of these foreign countries and their governments are already operating at high efficiency and already trying to get these deals. I'm surprised to hear that they're not thinking entrepreneurially in that way.
I mean, I'm not gonna slag world leaders, you know, but, you know, winning an election is different than, you know,
Developing policy. Yeah, that's interesting.
But I was, this is crazy. And I was like, all right, if these guys do that, and I was like, look, if you guys want to write like some letter, I'm happy to, again, it's not like, you know, Trump or Stephen Miller or Susie Wiles or Taylor Budowich, they're not hiding. Kevin Hassett, they're not hiding. Howard Lutnick, they'll take the call. Mm-hmm. But if I just thought if this country shows up with that and said, this is what we want to do, it's an incredible insight into the game theory, right? Regret minimization. They want to minimize their regret, right? They just want to get things back into like a reasonable place where they can get back to focusing on the things that they are prioritizing. That makes sense. So I just think like this could actually work. Now, is that what's going to happen with China? No, I'm not saying that. That's way more complex and above my pay grade. But I'm just saying if you get 30 of these, 40 of these countries, man, this is a big deal.
Do you think China comes to the table at all?
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know. I don't know. I think so. I mean, it's just look, we're like frenemies. Like we just we have to make it work.
Yeah, the getting's too good.
Right. They need us to buy shit.
Yeah.
They need us.
We buy shit.
And right now we need them for some stuff too. So, you know, it's the honest truth. Like we need them as well.
Listen, Chamath, we appreciate you so much, man. Thank you very much for taking the time. We hope you are right.
Yeah.
Okay. I also want to point out that you are so much taller in pictures than you are on Zoom.
I think it's the headroom of the camera.
We need to do something with this camera angle. I thought you were 5'2", and I saw you in a picture.
I'm 6'2".
Yeah,
6'2".
You're a whole foot taller in real life than on Zoom. So whoever is sabotaging this, I think, is Jason by making your camera be this much higher than you.
Yeah.
Wait,
is this a bad? This camera should be lower.
Yeah, you look like you're in a booster seat. We need it. Look at. Go.
And then point it up.
I also slouch, so I have
get the camera pointing up at you. You know.
Yeah, we need to completely reset all this.
I think his wife set it up this way.
Yeah, she's trying to keep you married.
He's rich, handsome, smart. No, you gotta be short.
I'm not a short king.
Anyway, Chamath, we appreciate you so much, man.
Thank you,
guys.
This is awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Great to see you guys.